The reason why I always start with financial planning and analysis with clients is because as an architect, I don't know what to draw without some idea of not only what it is that you really want, sort of at the deepest level, but how much we can afford to spend on it. How does the business perform? What kind of building can we look for given the parameters that we need to define in this process? So what we're really doing is we're balancing the financial projections and how much investment with what the building itself is, because the building itself is the filter. It's what everything passes through if you're running a business that is based in a building, in a space. So the amount you invest in it up front is a huge indicator of future success, because if you can't support that by a lot with a good margin, you may never get out from behind it. And so this kind of understanding is not what most architects do. But after developing projects for nearly 20 years now, I can't draw anything without thinking of this, because my focus with you, with clients, is building stuff, building things that are amazing, but on time and on budget as well. And so without having a very real understanding of the most basic pieces that are the keys for the puzzle, we take those pieces and we put them into different tools that help us understand what that means on a numbers level, what that means from a size point of view. How much space do each of them take? What is the size of a facility that might sort of add up to? So when you look at these types of numbers, it's not that we know everything, but we're starting somewhere. We can generalize how big a yoga room or a locker room or whatever the case is. We can sort of generalize this list from literally just a list of what you want, start putting numbers to it, start putting them into other spreadsheets that allow us to have with basic assumptions. So, for instance, using very high level square footage numbers, percentages, it starts to very quickly give us numbers. So numbers that are related to the billing that you might see from an architect, how much, in this case, climbing walls might cost, how much other costs might be, other soft costs, other hard costs, the general contracting costs. And so when we very quickly zoom out, we can sort of generalize, using some high level assumptions, what the cost ramifications will be. And this is at pretty much within a few weeks of starting a project. I'm doing this with clients. And this is that high level financial planning and analysis, because if we're in this process, we can take that sort of understanding of your goals, put that into models like that. And that's really telling us, how much money do we have to spend on this project? It's telling us how much the project is going to cost, I should say. Like, what's the output of, if we want this, it's sort of additive. If we want A plus B plus C at these assumptions, meaning certain dollars per square foot for construction, certain dollars per square foot for other items, certain percentages maybe for architecture and engineering, contractors' profit and overhead, things like that. Here's how much that's going to cost. So this sort of lump of money might be what the result is of that wish list. We can then take that and pump that into, again, fairly high level business models that are real, but high level that project over, say, this is a 5-year model where we're using the build out cost as a key reference point for how the model is going to perform over 5 years. And just zooming in a little bit. So, this highlighted number is the facility build out cost. So, then we can make assumptions and adjustments based on membership pricing, based on how many members, churn rates, the different versions of your business. We can look at this in a few different ways, like I'm going to show in a minute. But when you pump all of that through, this sort of highlighted number is still one of the keys, because it dictates the long-term performance over a 5-year period in this model so significantly that depending on what you're seeing as it comes out the other end, we can go back and make iterations. We can say, okay, I know I thought I wanted a 30,000 foot super tall facility. We now realize if that costs us $10 million, the business model just doesn't work. We don't think we can have the membership to support that. We don't think that we can sell them at a high enough rate to support that, whatever the case is. So it sort of becomes this cycle where this is the balancing, this is the analysis, and we're not going super in depth. We have a fairly high level business model. It's based on your assumptions, based on sort of historic data, based on competitors in your area, any sort of information we can bring into it to make it as real as possible. But it's still fairly high level because we're not getting this bid by contractors. We're using it at a high level, running the numbers, sort of seeing how much things are going to cost, and then running them through a business model, and then iterating from there. So sometimes it's about doing A, B, and C, doing a high, medium, and low, doing like a cheap, sort of medium cost, expensive, and sort of luxury cost. And I'll show you that in a second. The point is that it becomes an iterative process where we're trying to balance everything, including things like rent or whatever other sort of building costs you might have in addition to the build out cost. So that all ends up basically saying, how much can we spend on a building, whether it's renting or building or buying or whatever. We now have an understanding through this process of how much the building itself can cost. And I mean that in a general way, in the sense that whether that's a lease, a purchase, or whatever, we know that there's a certain limit to how much we can invest up front and still see the returns on the other end. And the way we test that is we can do comparative models. So we can take a series of models, and that's really what this is, where in this case it's looking at 6 different size facilities from extra small to double XL over a 5-year period, looking at how the different models perform in yearly cash flow. And you can see these big investments up front for the double XL and XL facilities. You can start to see the relationship between how much a facility can produce. And again, this is sort of generalized numbers from this as a starting point in my models, but you can also look at it, say, even in terms of if we have a one size facility, but building it at a low, medium, high, and a luxury cost. So there's different ways we can look at it. Multiple sizes at about the same build out ratio cost, or say one size at different build out costs. You can start to see very quickly. And again, we're making a lot of assumptions here, but this is that balancing at a high level. This is all a precursor to us drawing anything. So in my world, this kind of back and forth has to happen before I can really draw you anything, because otherwise I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what to draw. I don't want to draw something that's way out of your budget, or we, in a few months, find out that the business model doesn't work if we spend that much money, or that we can't really afford that much because the rent is so high. Whatever the case is, this is the time to do that so that we're not wasting time and money down the road. And that's really what I mean when I talk about financial planning and analysis. It's not hyper detailed operations or hyper detailed business model. It's making fairly high level decisions that are within the realistic world, both on the construction, on the programming aspect, meaning like what different parts do we need to put into this? Because all of this is then telling us what the building could be. It helps us understand how big of a building are we looking for? How much are we looking to build? How much can we afford on the rent? And then what would that output be? And we can do comparative models like this is showing, because that's really what's telling us what's coming out the other end. That's telling us what the building and business performance is going to be. Because then when we have these basic assumptions, which are always variable, they always can change. And these are all dynamic, so we can make adjustments along the way. And for instance, even as we get into design, it might be that what some of these assumptions we thought aren't maybe what we end up wanting to have. But these are the ingredients that we can then take forward sort of separately and mix together in the design process to actually, when we look at a sketch like this, I can tell you the components, I can tell you the ingredients, why we have the ingredients based on the intent of the owner, mixing them up, putting them all together so that the result is something that is remarkable and it meets budgets and we know why we're spending money the way we are. Because that kind of back and forth, it's not the way architecture was taught to me, but in the real world of developing buildings and really building stuff and building businesses with owners, I don't know how we draw things without this kind of understanding. And for me, there's always going to be financial experts and business owners. You're the owner. You know your business more than I do. My job here is to help extract that from you, put it into frameworks that allow us to get real answers earlier in the process so that every single thing we're doing has a purpose and intent and something that you can point to and really shows that you have your act together. You've got your finances in order. You know how much things are costing. We've made these assumptions. These are the outputs. This is the type of building we're looking for. That's the stuff that when I talk with owners, they're looking for help with. Grounding the project, organizing the project, knowing how to move forward with the project, what they can lease, what they can afford. Should it be 10,000 square feet? Should it be 20,000 square feet? This is how we get those answers, and this is how I work with clients to do that.